You're with HMD Motorsports, obviously a very large team in the Indy NXT series. And I think this announcement, I would say, caught a lot of people by surprise. But I saw you at a couple IndyCar races towards the end of the season, interacting and hanging out. And I think everyone was like, oh, like, what's going on here? Like, maybe you're just on an adventure to check out some more racing. Who knows? And here we are. You're officially announced, and you're kind of making the switch. So what have the last, I guess, couple weeks been like? I mean, when did you decide this is exactly what I want to do?
So honestly, about, I would say 2 weeks after I stopped racing Xfinity. Sorry, my dog was in the background squeaking his toy.
Right. We love dogs on this show.
Yeah. As you can tell, he's in the background, but
it's a beautiful photo.
Yeah. About 2 weeks after I stopped on the Xfinity side, I was really I didn't really linger very much. Like, I was like, okay, what's next? Like, what are we working towards next? Let's make our goals. What are we looking like budget-wise? And by we, I mean Chase, me and Chase. And what are we looking sponsor budget-wise? How are we looking for, different options? And just kind of seeing and weighing out the pros and cons of everything. And that's when I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm decent friends with a few guys in, the IndyCar scene and, people that used to race IndyCar. And I kind of was just poking around, talking a little bit. A few people that, I grew up go-karting with and, just kind of asking and questions and just seeing it out. And I'm like, you know, let's go to the IndyCar race at Iowa. Let's go check it out. Why not? And just kind of see what it was all about. And when we started weighing out me as a driver, my pros and cons, my best qualities in my driving are I like high grip stuff. I like tracks you're wide open a lot at. I love road courses. Besides this past year, some of my best runs have been on road courses. And best overall, best qualifyings and all that. So I've the IMSA stuff on top of that, I did good on that side. And so I was like, man, maybe we should really look at this avenue.
That's really interesting. I love that, actually. That's very cool. I mean, as a driver, we all do the same thing, right? As soon as something ends, you're like, well, what do we get into next? I'm the same way. I mean, my career has been all over the place. I've been in and out of a ton of different things, but you're always like, well, what do we get to next? What's next on the list? When you got to Iowa, what was the reception like there? Because obviously I was there too. I didn't race the first one. Then all of a sudden I was racing the second one. So I was trying to be I was just hanging out as well. But did you enjoy that experience? Did you kind of, when was the last time you'd been to an open wheel weekend before that actually as well?
So I've never actually been, I don't go to many races. I watch a lot of racing. I watched a lot of IndyCar races. But the last one I was at is when we would do the combo races with K&N back in the day at Gateway. Yeah. So that was the last time we were there. And honestly, it was I remember, I didn't pay attention to it a whole lot. While they were running, so we'd be in between sessions on the K&N ARCA side. And so I didn't get around it a whole lot. I met a few people, but not a bunch. And so I never really went to one of the races as a fan. And so that's something that I really wanted to
It's hard to watch racing as a driver too. It is hard. You want to be a part of it. When you're there.
It's really hard to watch racing at the track because I can't see anything. I like watching on TV. I feel every time there's something that happens, I miss it because I'm the late one to look at it. And so, but going there, I really just wanted to see the environment. And I, honestly, all the crew guys and everyone, I got interrogated no tomorrow by every person. I couldn't even have conversation with Chase because everywhere I turned, there was a reporter with their phone out. And so I was I got watch what I say. But I've more so just kind of lingered around and checked it all out. And everyone was very welcoming, even though there was no talk of me going there. Honestly, I just was going there to watch. That's not where I made the decision or anything. I just wanted to kind of see how it was.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very interesting. And of course, people ask those questions because you're a superstar. They put up these wild stats about you having more followers than the entire IndyCar series combined. All this other stuff. You've got an incredible amount of support, and you've got a family too. I raced against your dad in old police cars at the Cletus, the Freedom 500. Really.
The Crown Vics.
Yep. Really enjoyed getting to interact with him whenever I've got to interact with him. And your entire family, your little brother too. Potentially, maybe the greatest man on two wheels of all time. Who knows? We've yet to see, but it's your entire brand is massive. So people want to see where you're going, what you're going to do, and you have a lot of great supporters too. So is this kind of an exciting thing to introduce to your supporters and be like, hey, it's a new step, but welcome to the kind of a new world of motorsport?
Yeah, and it's exciting for me too. I think because I'm excited about it, I can portray it to people that like, hey, this is an exciting thing for me. Like, I'm looking forward to this. This wasn't a plan B. This is like a new opportunity for me. And so that's like more so how I'm going about it, just because like it is exciting. There's so many different things that like even at the test, like my first test that I did at Indy, like I was like, man, like there's like so many little things that I never even knew existed in this stuff.
It's fascinating. Yeah. And I assume this year might be your first year going to the Indy 500. Are you going to check that out for the first time as well?
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely be involved a lot more. I never have been able to go to the Indy 500. So that's going to be, I feel like, a whirlwind in itself.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about, I still want to talk about what you've done in NASCAR, because like I've obviously tried to do a little bit of that too, and I'd be curious to just get your thoughts on it. But the actual test, right? You did the deal, boom, we're going testing right away. And I think what's actually nice about Indy NXT, there's a lot of testing. Like I talked to some of their drivers last year. Compared to IndyCar, like we don't get to test at all. But you guys can essentially test almost as much as you want, from what I've known, or not maybe as much as you want, but there's a lot more opportunities for you to get on track. So does that give you more confidence? Like, hey, all right, we got in at the Indy GP circuit first session, second session. Obviously, everyone wants to judge everything because we all love looking at timesheets, which is, I still think, the dumbest thing in the history of dumbness. But tell us what you thought initially, and then, all right, cool. Can't wait to attack the next test day.
Yeah, so like on the, I'd say practice side of things, like just kind of my opinion of it, on the NASCAR side, it's so lacking of seat time getting ready for races. Like I was a victim of the whole COVID deal where practice and qualifying was X'd out my first year of trucks. And so I went into these races like at Pocono, like I still remember this like so vividly at Pocono. And Kyle Busch was starting behind me. I was starting on the outside. I think I was like somewhere around like 17 to 20th in that range, like area. But no, I was starting on the outside. And I remember I'm like, I have been to Pocono in an ARCA car, but like it is nowhere comparable to a truck. I'm going in here with no practice. I got Kyle Busch starting right behind me. I know I'm getting put 3 wide in turn 1. Like this is not a great situation. Like I have no clue how hard I can drive into the corner. Like how much I'm supposed to get.
That's actually crazy when you put it that way. Like I completely agree. It's wild that we were in that era. That was like a moment
for me where I'm like, damn, like this is going to be hard. And so I was like kind of a victim of that. Well, deal with not getting any practice or qualifying. So I had no notes going into it the second year, but at least I got 15 to 25 minutes the second year at practice. And so at least something to go off of. But like on the whole NASCAR side, in my past 4 years, from Xfinity, all my 3 years of trucks, everything, there's been about just under 20, Chase did the math on it, 21 hours of available practice time between all 4 years. Before I actually go to the first Indy NXT race at St. Petersburg, I will have 33 hours of available track time in just testing.
I love the stats. I love stats. I love a bit of numbers.
If you put it in that perspective, the amount of seat time I'm going to get before the first race, and like I'm a seat time fiend. Like I love being able to go out there, test and practice, try different things. I hate trying things in race situations. Like I want to do it while we're practicing. I want to see what works, what doesn't.